here. So today we have an extraordinary panel. It's comprised of a diverse group of women. And although they may be from different countries and different cultures, they may work in different sectors of the industry and in different leadership roles, there's a lot that they share in common. They are continual learners. They are incredible multitaskers, many leading teams on multiple continents. They have a true passion for what they do and for the industry as a whole. They believe in leadership as stewardship. And they also believe that diversity fuels innovation. And they have a desire to lift up those with whom they work. So, although we are all works in progress, this group of women have an extraordinary, strong sense of how to answer poet Mary Oliver's question, what do you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? So let's begin. I'd like to introduce our panelists, Gemma Gonzalez, who is head of the yachting business unit at Grupo Boero.
Thank you.
If you want to take a seat. Nikki Vo, who is partner and business development manager at Empire Marinas Group Australia, and host of the Boat Princess podcast. Michelle Hildyard, who is Vice President of Product Management and Business Development at Ray Marine. Lori Levere, who is Vice President of Marketing at Dometic. And last but never least, Rachel Bridges, who is Director of Aftermarket Products at Cummins. So, I spoke to each of the ladies, let me get rid of that, before we joined the panel. And I thank you all for being here and for putting the effort into this. And we had a discussion, and we're going to share what we've learned with all of you. So, my first question. One of my favorite quotes, and I think now one of yours, Eric, is either you drive disruption or you're outpaced by it. And that's a quote from Porsche. And my question, which is going to go to Gemma first, is how do you motivate your team to break new ground, innovate, and stay on course, especially with long-term projects?
Okay, welcome. Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure. Basically, when I read the question about this slogan, or you adapt yourself and you drive the change or you die, basically has been bringing me an idea how this is impacting also in the company, in myself as a leader. So the first thing I was thinking is I am very focused to customer. I really would like to be close to customer. So my people is definitely oriented also to be close to customer. So the first thing I was doing is to understand companies that has been making an impact, like Zara. So how many times we have been seeing that my generation, at least, we have been buying clothes, having a lot of nice clothes, spending a lot of money in the wardrobe. What's happened after several, if you see the new generation, it's completely different. New generation, they would like to have, the nice clothes, used today, and tomorrow they don't care. So at the end of the day, Zara, what has been done is to adapt to the customer behavior. So they have been really thinking, not outside the box, which is exactly the way that I try to do with my people. I have my own style on leadership. I don't follow anyone. That's the way that I have been trying to do all my life. And my bosses, for the moment, they at least accept it. So just motivating the team. If you are really believing on what you are doing, if you really are understanding that this is the best way for you and for your people will follow you. Yes. People will, and you need to motivate them with the example, no? You have to give always a little bit more. And these people are accepting it. These people are having this example that everything is possible and depends on you. Nobody will tell you what you have to do. So it depends only on you. So that's the motivation. Perseverance, hard work, of course, and that's it. Be close to them.
Yes, and be close to the customer.
Exactly.
So, Michelle, I'm going to go to you next on this. You said to me that you have something at Ray Marine that's called Torpedo Days. Can you explain what Torpedo Days are?
Yeah, good morning, everyone, and thanks very much for having me, Michelle. So, yeah, Ray Marine is a very innovative company, and we strive to bring new innovative products to the market. And I had a team of project managers and product managers, and their roles are to come up with new and innovative products. And, new products take many years to come to the market, so I keep them motivated. But we also have, that's just one team of people. And Ray Marine is a big company with lots of people in it who have lots of great ideas. And one way to harvest those ideas is once every month we hold a 24-hour period where you can get together a team, come up with a really great new innovative idea that you can work on as your team. And at the end of that 24-hour period, we all gather together in our canteen and we present the ideas, and we all get to vote on which idea is the best. And from that idea, we generally try and take that idea forward into our product management team and try and implement it.
Oh, what a great idea. Thank you for sharing that. And Nikki, you said something that really resonated with me. You said, if a business stands still, it dies. So talk a bit about that.
Well, it literally does, doesn't it? If we don't move with the market changes and the client changes and the behaviour of our client changes over time. So we have to adapt to that. I think COVID was incredible at making us adapt very quickly to survive. I mean, we had just literally taken over the restaurant at our marina, so we had to adapt every week to every different rule that came in. Thought this is a great time to take over a restaurant, but anyway. I think you do have to keep ahead of it a little bit. So think ahead as to how you think behaviour in clients is going to change, and work towards that. And in terms of motivating your team, we have very different age groups in our teams, and you do have to motivate them differently, and you're not going to get every one of them. So just focus on the third that you're absolutely getting with your new innovation, and get them to get the motion going, and it will come together. But don't, the ones that are pushing against you, don't focus on them. Focus on the ones who are going with you.
That makes sense. Lori, I'm going to go to you next, because in terms of motivating a team and getting them to go through a project, you amaze me because you've gone through 3 full brand changes: Teleflex, C-Star, and Dometic. And when you go through brand changes, it comes down to every little detail. It's packaging, it's labeling, it's messaging, it's ads, it's catalogs. The details are endless. So talk to our audience about how you successfully manage taking an organization through that kind of change.
Yeah, first you need to learn to drink a lot. That's step 1. I think, the first step is the top-down leadership. So when we've been through these branding changes, our president, Eric Fetchko, sets the stage to say, everybody's doing this. Get on the same page for the rebranding, because there's a perception that rebranding is a marketing job, and it's not. Like when you talk about facilities that are affected, every department is affected by branding. When you think of IT running reports and the documents, and HR that are printing employee handbooks, all of those things are touched by the brand. And when the stage is set by the leadership, then you get really good results. Number 2 is communication. Communicating to not only your internal employees in the office, factory personnel, and then your customers about what you're doing and why you're doing it and why it's important. Communication along the way is also very crucial. So people understand that you started a project, where you're at in the project, and when the end state is going to be. For me, it's been 25 years and I'm not done yet. So. And then finally, the devil's in the details. So I think we've had a project manager running between all the facilities, making sure signage has been changed on the buildings, and all the swag has been rebranded, and the bathroom signs have been changed, and engineering documents. So it's a very, very detailed process. But I think having leadership, communicating, and then working through the details is the recipe for success.
So you just changed to Dometic. About how long is the timeline?
It's done. We're done with Dometic. So it took about 2 years.
Wow.
So, and you know, a lot of things are you decide you're either just going to make running changes because it's so much packaging or things that are in place. But a lot of things can be fixed really fast. And when you see that transformation, it's really exciting. And when you see all the facilities coming together and you're going into the different buildings and everybody's, you know, wearing that Dometic brand, it's exciting to see it finished. So
That's fantastic. Well, congratulations on the third one.
Thank you.
So this question is for each of you, and what I'd like to know is what has been your biggest challenge and your biggest triumph? So, Gemma?
Easy question. When I, of course, to be a woman, especially me in the, you know, I am in this industry more than 35 years. I started, you know, in a very conservative male industry. To be honest, people were not really recognizing me as a very important future asset, let's say, okay? They were seeing that you are doing their best. They are seeing that you are doing changes, that you are developing. But still, you know, it was a kind of a reaction, no? That men are the ones that are going to, you know. But what has happened when you are a woman, you are really perseverant and you really believe in what you do, you don't care. You don't really care. It will arrive.
Yes.
The moment will arrive. So you need to have passion. And that's exactly what I have done. Because for me, in my previous company, because I just changed it 1 year ago, it was also like that. I was starting as product manager. Then I was developing my career during all years, because it was 32 years in this company, so it was quite all my life. But it took me around 10 years to convince the people in the top management to bring the super yacht business. So they were very good on marine, they were very good in yachting, but they didn't really see the benefit of going to the super yacht, where really the main profit was there. So why we are not going to be there? It took me quite a lot of time to understand how I can position myself into the organization. And not fighting with anyone, only trying to find ways to prove, always proving that you are good, always proving that facts. So then, against the facts, they cannot say anything. So then you are becoming stronger. And then it's when I definitely arrived to the global business unit director after some years. And of course, when I was there, then is when I saw really the job, the scope, the helicopter view, and the most important thing, of course, was how to build a team. Because alone, of course, I can be very excited, but to be honest, this was too big. So it's the team that makes me the difference. And it's the team who has been making me feel that it is good to do that. So now, you know, I just changed company, having the same situation. I left the company with, you know, I cannot say the numbers, of course, but I am very proud. You know, they are very proud, and they are already becoming the #2 leader in the market. So I am very proud. My team is very proud.
That's great. So you convinced the company
Yes,
to go into
absolutely.
a completely
You
new
just
sector
go.
and then built it from
Yes,
scratch.
100%.
Fantastic. Okay, so Nikki, you are next. You and I share something in common. You talked about the stigma of being the wife. I had the stigma of being the daughter for a long time. So I understand that challenge. And you also have done amazing things with the marinas that you are the business development manager for. So can you speak to how you overcame the stigma, came into your own, and the triumphs that you've had?
Sure. So just to go back a bit, when we purchased our marinas in Australia, I wasn't involved in the marinas at the start. So I was known as the wife first, and then I came into the business when the children were a little bit older. And both internally and externally, it was very hard to become the business development manager. I started actually as a boat broker in our business. And that was new for me, so I was learning as well. But I had to earn the respect both internally and externally of not being the wife. Now, for those of you that don't know, Darren Vo is my husband. You may have seen him on stage at the breakfast yesterday and here for the decarbonisation presentation yesterday. He's a very hard act to follow. so he's an incredible man that's done so much for this industry. So I was following a big leader. But I did have to earn that respect. And I guess my message I want to get out to everyone here, and let's take the gender out of it. It's not just necessarily the wife. It can be the husband, it can be the partner, it can even be the second business partner sometimes, that doesn't get the level of respect that the other one does, and often gets completely ignored in a conversation, or when they're met, they're not given the level of respect that they should get. I think that's what I want to get across, that please pay attention to the partner. And especially if you're selling boats, pay attention to the partner, because it's the partner that's going to go yes or no. So I think that's a really important message.
Yes, it is. It really is. So, Michelle, you are a juggler. You are a multitasker. You raise a family. You have a big job that requires a lot of travel, and you stressed the importance of flexibility. And you also talked about a streamlining of the organization that was a triumph for you. So if you could share that with our audience.
Yes, thanks, Michelle. So when I was asked about what's my biggest challenge, my mind immediately went to the fact that I have two jobs, really. When I started at Raymarine 18 years ago, I was single, and during my time there, I've got married and had a family. And at the point of having a family, I realised I actually have two jobs, and two full-time jobs at that, and I think a lot of people can relate to that, being either the mother or the father. But when you have the children, your work life changes. You can't stay at work all day, every day anymore. You've got to get home, and when you get home, you can't just sit and relax. You've then got to get the kids tea and get them ready and sort out the homework and everything else. And to me, I found it a really difficult and a real challenge to be able to juggle and manage. I am super organised, and anyone who knows me, I'm over-organised, and that's, I've got a spreadsheet for everything and a list for everything, and that's really how I cope with my life. But also the other side of things is, the guilt. You do feel guilty as a mother having to not be able to go to every sports day, every nativity play, every assembly, and you do have that guilt, especially when travelling away a lot as well, and I love my travel, and I don't want to give up my travel. So, it's really a balancing act, and I'm extremely lucky at Raymarine that I've got a very good manager who is very flexible, and I get to be able to juggle my life, to be able to go and do a lot of kids' events while still working.
And in terms of the triumph?
So, having had the children, I got promoted to the VP of Customer Service for Raymarine, and at that time we were part of the bigger organisation of Fleer. And Fleer had a commercial business unit, and at that time they had 4 different businesses working within that business unit. And I headed up just the marine side of the customer service, and I was asked if I would take on the other 3 business units customer service as well. It was a huge challenge. I'd just come back from work for having my second child. At the time I was only working 4 days a week, but I needed to go up to 5 days a week, so it was a big personal decision to have to actually give up an extra day working at home, being at home with the kids. But I managed to consolidate a team of over 100 people based all around the globe, improved our service technicians or service workshops. I improved the throughput through that workshop, and also improved our customer satisfaction from our product support teams.
Fantastic. And to clarify, juggling the family is a triumph all in and of itself. So Lori, you and I have known each other forever, and you have been in a very male-dominated environment as well. And you talked about how relationships have played a big role in your career and in the challenges and the triumphs that you've had.
Right. Yeah, I think being in a male-dominated industry, you feel like you have to work very hard to be as good as everyone else. And I think myself, I put that on. Nobody was in the room saying that you got to do better. It was me thinking I had to do better because I was the only woman. I wanted to be there earlier and have the better presentation and work harder because you feel like you need to earn the credibility in the room, similar to what Gemma was saying. And I think, some of my other big challenges drove me to work on my master's degree. So I did that while I was working full time. So that was a huge challenge for me, trying to find the balance of going to school 2 nights a week, doing the homework plus working your job full time. So that's been a challenge, but it's also been one of my biggest accomplishments. So supported by Dometic, I earned my master's degree. And I think my relationships in this industry, being here for 25 years, are fantastic. And then obviously my career. So some of the challenges were also my big accomplishments. So, and I'm really proud of those.
That's fantastic, and you should be. So, Rachel, you said something to me that you knew in the first week at Cummins that you would fall in love with the marine industry and that you would want to lead it. I wondered what it was that week that made you say that. And then you went from being an administrative assistant to being the global segment leader for marine, finishing both your undergrad and your MBA, similar to what Lori said. So that's quite a journey. So why don't you share some of that with the audience?
Yeah, so first of all, you're a hard act to follow, you Force. And I think what made me fall in love with the industry is I walked in the door and I was surrounded by this group of people that were so passionate, and they were willing to answer the questions of this 19-year-old kid over and over again about, first of all, what is an engine? What is a piston? What is a boat? And just being surrounded by that was so infectious. And then I realized, as I learned more about the industry, how global it was. Here I was, I'd never been out of the country before. I was born in the States. I moved from Virginia to South Carolina, so I hadn't even had a very wide experience. And here I am now on the phone with people from China, from India, from Europe. And that just inspired me to learn more and really put the effort in to better myself and position myself. And I knew I wanted to grow in the industry, and I knew I wanted to get to the top. I didn't know how I was going to get there. I didn't plan out. I'm not a planner. But I took it step by step and just tried to learn what I can. And it's been a great journey.
That's fantastic. Well, we're all the better for having you here. So one of the things that I always ask leaders that I meet is about time management, because the amount of productivity that comes out of them is just amazing in many ways. So I want to ask, when are you most productive, and how do you manage your time? And Nikki, you and I share something in common. I'm a walker. It's when I clear my head. It's how I get centered. I'm constantly sending notes to myself because I get ideas as I walk. I know that you do too. So can you you also talked about how you prioritize tasks, and that, it depends on the task. So fill the audience in on that.
Sure. I have noticed my days go a lot better if I go for a walk in the morning. I might listen to a podcast when I'm doing that walk, or I might just observe the space around me and think through what I'm doing that day. But I know it goes a lot better if I get that walk in first thing. In terms of managing my time, I'm what we call a multiple entrepreneur, right? So I've got a Girls Getaways business, I've got the marinas, I've got the podcast and the Boat Princess, and I've got the restaurant that I manage at the marina as well. So I've got a lot of different sections that I have to break down into time. And I therefore find if I actually respond to everything as quickly as I can, I do, because otherwise my mental load just gets way too big. And then if I can't, I use my diary, in my electronic diary, as I put it in for the next day. And I also do that, when you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you've got this, that, and that to do, I just put it into my electronic diary, and then I can go back to sleep again for the next day. And I love deleting them the next day, right? So that's how I manage my time. And I also find you've got to listen to yourself in terms of what your body likes doing at different times of the day. So if I'm doing something that's a little bit creative but also a little bit technical, I actually find my evenings are good for that. So if I'm doing stuff on the website, for example, I find the evenings are good for that, for me personally. So I think you need to listen to your own brain as to how you work. And I also, for a while, went through that whole, oh, it's the weekend, I really shouldn't work, right? And I found myself what they call stress laxing because I was so stressed about the fact that I wasn't doing something I needed to do that my weekend actually became not as relaxing, and then my Monday would be harder. So I find if I just deal with something, especially if I get like something funny like a review from online for the restaurant, right? I deal with that quite quickly. One, because I want to respond to it quickly to make sure our online presence is really good, but also because it will sit in my head anyway. So I might as well just do it.
That makes sense. Gemma, I'm going to you next because I don't use I do use the electronic diary, but there's something about making that check mark on a to-do list that it's done that I find incredibly gratifying. And you use to-do lists as well.
Yes.
And you also talked about something that I thought was really interesting. Key initiatives talk with your boss.
See. The first thing is that when I really understand very well your point, and the point for me is that as soon as you are having much more responsibility and and definitely a passion that we are having for this industry, time management is the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
Because you are always serving, supporting people, being always with people. You cannot stop seeing your mobile phone, even though I am not really so fan on that. But it's true that you have to manage your time, otherwise it's a complete chaos for the rest of the team. And that's still today. Some of the times that I would like to relax 1 week, no, you cannot, because you definitely have to be very disciplined with you in that. This is the first thing. Second is that I make every Monday, I make the 10, 15 priorities, which I really recommend. It's just a list of things that you, as you said, you really love to just say, wow, done. Not too many are every week, no way. But at least I am feeling that I am definitely develop myself and trying to support the things that are important for the team. In the mornings, I like sleep. So no way I am not going to be, in my
You're not a
sleep.
morning person.
No, I am starting, no, don't call me before 9 o'clock. I am not a person. But after my coffee, it's definitely, I am there. I am focused on my people matters because they are, again, priority. And then, of course, the meetings that all the time they are killing my mornings because they are the ones deciding my agenda. So if you allow them, they destroy.
Yeah.
So I need to be very disciplined again on that. So after this, in the afternoons, time to time, I don't have too much time for lunch. Before I was a Spanish with the siesta, no way. That's absolutely no way. You don't have time. So at the end of the day, you are time to time eating, even standing up and waiting for the next meeting. So to be honest, it's again a challenge, time to time. In the afternoons, I can just try to dedicate to me and to my boss, because he's calling time to time. He's Italian, remember? So they are calling quite often. Exactly. So they would like to talk and they would like to share, and I love to share. So at the end of the day, after the week, you feel that in Fridays you have done quite a lot of job, and then you feel well. What is happening? That, as always, leadership is not only to achieve the others doing what they have to do without telling them what to do. This is, for me, the leadership. But also the bosses has to understand that they have to be also leaders. Guys, if we are not pushing up and we don't tell them, hey, guy, you are the one who has to be responsible of me. Not only me to my people, it's also them. So you need to push them. They will really appreciate. Even the toughest bosses I had, because believe me, I had quite a lot of bosses, to be also as a feminine, as a woman in the male industry. Again, no, you have to push them. So the only way to do it is to use tools that they don't really know too much, because women are much more structured. So we really, at least, sorry for the men today, but I think we are. So at the end of the day, you are using tools that is a key initiative talk. So it's very simple. It's something that I will talk later, I hope, because the audience, I think it's going to be nice to share it. You have some objectives that you have to manage during the year. So yes, you are there because you have had that job. So there are objectives that you have decided to your boss, and it's very helpful for me, also for my employees, that you need to identify what is important for the year, what are the expectations. So then you don't have conflicts, and then you don't have problems, because they have to do what we decided together to do. Simple. So every quarter, we are deciding which of these year objective we can do. So we are already discussing with my boss what I need in order to achieve the goal.
Yes.
It's as simple as
that. Makes sense. And Rachel, you lead a multi-continental team, which has different time zones. You're remote working because you can't be everywhere at once. So talk about what it's like to, I remember those days because I worked for a Dutch company. I was in the US, and I also had staff in New Zealand. I imagine that you do the same.
Absolutely. And I am a morning person. And the majority of my team is based in the US. So I get up, I'm ready to go. And one of the things I've learned is I have to be really careful about not bombarding them with a million emails before they wake up. Because I'm ready, I want to get stuff done. So I do try to take a few minutes in the morning and think about what can I work on when I have some quiet time. Because you've got this period between when Asia goes off and the US comes online. And that's been really helpful. And one of the other thing that I've done is I've carved out the time for me in the morning. I know my evenings are not mine. I have to be there for my team. But carving out the time in the morning, walking the dog, getting some exercise, actually puts me in a much better place to be effective. And I do have to comment on the to-do list, because I'm a little bit more traditional. I have a whiteboard next to my desk, and I put my to-do list. And the best thing is when I can erase that task off my to-do list.
Absolutely. It's funny because I attended a session with the CEO of Verizon earlier this year, and he actually rates from 1 to 10 how he's feeling. And depending on if he's having a great day or if he's in a bad mood and he's a 1, he will adjust his schedule depending on how he feels his own behavior is, which I found very interesting. I'm going to stay with you, Rachel, because you've been with Cummins for a long time in multiple roles. And you kind of have to ride the wave when you're with a large corporation because there are changes and there are reorganizations. And those reorganizations not only impact you, but they impact your teams. So I'm wondering how you handle that.
Yeah. When you're in a large company, especially if you're in a segment that isn't one of their core segments, you're not always in control. Even if you are leading the segment, there's things that happen outside that you can't control, and sometimes you can't change it. And when you first asked me this question, I thought back to my favorite article of clothing. I have this jumper or sweatshirt that says happiness comes in waves. And I kind of think of it like that, because if you look at the waves, there's always one coming. Some are big, some are small. Some you may want to ride, some you may want to let go. And that's kind of how you have to look at it as you see big changes coming that you have no control over. And some of those waves, you might want to get up and try. And that's something that I've had to do recently. A very big wave in a completely new environment. And if it doesn't work out, it's okay, because there'll be another wave. You can get off. And you will find your happiness. But sometimes you just have to ride some of those waves and know that you're going to learn something and benefit from it.
Yeah, that's a great attitude to have toward it. So, Gemma, I'm going to go back to you and your toolbox. Your toolbox of vision and strategy and so many things. So, would you share a little bit of that toolbox?
Yeah.
We had a long conversation about your toolbox.
Very easy, eh? Again, everything is easy here. The point is, you have to have a vision. As a leader, you have to have a vision. I am very lucky to have to be visionary, by the way. So, but I try to work on that as well. Where you would like to be in the next 3-5 years? Okay, clear. Once you find it, because it's not easy, once you find it, of course, you need to find a strategy. You need to book. You need to think. You need to search. You need to define how I am going to go, how I am going to achieve to this goal, no? To this vision. I would like to be the number 2 in the market, so I need to make a strategy that is fitting this vision. Once this strategy is done, which is basically how I would like to do it, then you have to go to an action plan, which is basically the balanced scorecard. It's just a matter of main objective of this strategy that you made that makes you feel much more comfortable because you have a way to go, a list of things to do. Once you have done that, then you have, of course, the business review. Why? Because you have to check yourself. You have to check the strategy once a year. At least if this is good as you expected, if you have done, you have to adjust it, or you have to basically just prove that it's robust. Because again, this is affecting all the organization. Once you have this business review, then you have a performance appraisal. Performance appraisal is another tool that the leader people is using. Basically, is the moment that you are having with your employee and also with your boss once a year, where you are having different steps, not only objectives that is focused on results, but is focused also on the person. Because the person also has the moment to tell you and to challenge you as a boss how you are doing well, what I need more from you, what I need less. So at the end of the day, it's a both development way. So again, I am very used to push my bosses, so it's obvious that I would try to find, because I really would like to develop myself. So if I get that, I will definitely transfer to my people. After, when you finish that, then the person is feeling, wow, he's giving me the time, because again, the employees needs the time, you need to take care of them, so they need to feel that they are important for you. And of course, if you dedicate just one time a year, 4 hours, don't do anything, no phones, nothing. They can tell you anything. They can also, you have to ask, what about the future? Because the person maybe is not really happy on being in that position for a long time. So you cannot assume that people like what they do. Okay, we need to understand that they maybe would like to another way. The moment to say that is in that meeting, not in the corridors. Not in gossip, no. I would like really sit down and I am with you. The same I expect with my boss. So once you finish that, then definitely you have to make a job description. You are responsible of the job of these people, to develop these people. So then you have a job description. You just identify the task responsibilities that this position has to have. So the person is feeling again that you are dedicating the time and the task. This person is feeling, okay, I need that resources, that's fine. We will discuss it during the year on the kit. That's why you finish with the kit. So it's a whole process and tools that will help you, because we need to learn also how to develop ourselves.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. That's great. You have to have the toolkit, and people want to be seen and heard that work for you, always.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go on. Lori, this is for you to start. What is the biggest factor that made you successful?
The biggest factor, I had a lot of very good inspirational people in my life that have supported me throughout. The company, of course, I've really never worked anywhere but Dometic, so...
yeah, and you spoke about freedom that you have there.
Yeah, you have a lot of freedom. You have time in groups which you can express your opinions. You don't feel like there's nobody tries to put you in a box. Like, you have a lot of time to be creative. You can share ideas and get inputs from people. And I think some of those relationships that you build, you in different departments that you can go to with your ideas and try to work on projects together. You just have a lot of freedom in the organization to develop ideas and grow, similar to your torpedo projects. I think we do a lot of those. We do a lot even within our department. We challenge each other to say, what are we going to do this year? How are we going to be better? How are we going to make voters' lives easier? And I think that's our goal. You know, one thing Eric, our boss, always says is our goal is to make voters' lives easier. So what are we going to do today? And I think that resonates with everybody within our Marine organization.
That's great. Nikki, I'm going to go to you next. One of your successes has been developing the Boat Princess, which your logo is on your hat. And tell people about the origin of it, why the name Boat Princess, and the impact that it has had on the people that have been involved.
Sure. The Boat Princess I started because I saw a need within the industry of getting more women into it. The guys are great. It's not about the guys. It's actually a lack of awareness amongst women to come into our industry. So I started it, and the Boat Princess, the name itself, came about because my first sizable motor yacht was a princess. My husband also calls me Princess. I have 2 strapping big sons, so I am the princess of the family. And it's a little bit of a play on words, and it's a bit of fun, because this industry is fun, and I wanted this to be a fun brand. And those of you that know me and know I'm not a princess, as in, I like the finer things in life, right? But I'm a really hard worker and a really persistent hard worker. So I'm not a princess as in that connotation of it. So that's how it came about. It's really fun in that sometimes I'll walk into an engineering mechanics in Australia and they'll say, "Boat Princess." I don't get called my name anymore. It's fantastic. So that's really, really cool that the brand has been that strong. I started a podcast interviewing people in our industry right across the board, because there are so many incredible different roles in this industry. And those that are outside it don't really understand that. So I interview people in our industry and they tell me their story, how they got there. So many of you fall into it. You don't actually enter into the boating industry in a measured way, if you like. You end up in it. It's fascinating that in the interviews. And the concept is everybody listens to those interviews that maybe aren't in the industry and go, "Oh, I'd love to do that." So that we can bring more people in. And obviously I'm focused on women, but every gender is what we'd love to have in our industry. So and it's been a great success. My Instagram presence is good fun as well. I'll do tours on boats and I'll do chats with people, and because we all know the big boats, big shiny boats, get the people looking, right? So that's what I use on Instagram to get me looking at my brand. But it's all about education. I get to meet the most amazing people that I interview on my podcast, which is so exciting and so wonderful. We did one yesterday.
We did.
Which is very exciting. And it's such a thrill to hear so many people listen to my podcast all around the world. It's incredibly popular, and I'll have random people coming up to me in Dubai Boat Show and saying, "I listen to your podcast and I love it," right? Which is a bit surreal. But it's really, really fantastic. And even Michelle said to her husband last night, can't believe I just got interviewed on a podcast, never done a podcast before. And he said,
"Oh, wow, I listened to that." And I couldn't believe that my husband actually listened to the podcast I'd just done that day.
so it's really an exciting brand. I love doing it. I truly love doing it. And it's bringing my energy and my excitement of this industry to the world for everyone to enjoy.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So now you all know you can leave here and go listen after on your trams back to your hotels to the Boat Princess podcast. So I want to look to the future. The next 2 questions are going to be industry questions about the future, because the industry is moving fast and it's moving in different directions. Especially, I think we're all seeing the electrification of boats happening. So what I want to ask the several of you is, where do you think the industry is headed in the next 3 to 5 years? And Lori, I'm going to go to you first. You did talk about technology and electrification with me. And of course, Dometic is one of the thought leaders in that environment. So can you speak to
Yeah,
your thoughts on where you think 5 years from now, if we came back to this stage, we would be?
Yeah, I think when you look back 5 years, we're in such a completely different place than we were. And even Dometic, it's exciting, our adventure that we're in now. When you think about we used to be just a steering company, and now all of the product categories that we've expanded into, and how our boat is, we're connecting all those products together. So I think we'll see, more of that happening within Dometic, and specifically the industry. Like, we're in steering and controls and cables and batteries and all of those products we're connecting. And you come into our stand, you're going to see those products all working together to make, again, boaters' lives easier, as the direction of our president always says. So our product development teams are always working to do that. So I think you'll see that coming from us and from the rest of the industry. Will continue to connect people with their boats, similar to driving your car, so that you have all those comforts, so that you can stay out on the water longer, take longer adventures, whether it's a sunny day or a stormy day. I think you're going to see more products like that in the future.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I started selling digital switching systems in 2007.
Yeah.
And to think what digital switching looked like in 2007, what it looks like in 2023, or when Mastervolt came out with the first lithium-ion batteries in 2009, to think about how much lithium is on board now, it's
exciting.
Changing. Rachel, you talked about some pressures through the supply chain and how materials are changing, and a silver lining for the industry when it comes to sustainability. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Sure, because in the product that Cummins offers, we know that the demand will decline in our core product. Engines, combustion engines, especially diesel or gasoline, petrol, is going to decline. We have to evolve as an industry to become more sustainable. And the challenge for us is, what do we invest in? Because right now, everybody's trying everything. And that's great. You need that. You need to find the next dominant technology. But it's also very expensive. And it's very difficult to maintain both your core product line and then think about what's it going to be in the future, especially because it's not very clear. So it's a huge challenge. And when you asked me this question, what really struck me is the uncertainty about what the next couple of years is going to look like. Because maintaining cash is going to be key for probably everybody. So how do we do that and still know that we've got to invest a lot of money in these new technologies? Yeah. So I find it really unsettling, but I also find it really exciting, because one of the things that will come out of that is real creativity. Back to your torpedo days. That's when you actually have to get the teams in a room together and say, we don't have $10 million in 10 years to create this product. We've got 2 years and $2 million. What can we do? So nervous, but also really exciting for the future.
Yes. And I'm going to go to you, Gemma. You had several things on your list, including green, including the way that boats are shipped, including transparency and life cycle.
Well, he has said very clear that not all companies has the cash. It's a very good point, definitely. The point in coatings is affected by of course, let's say there is no more. Let's say that to make a very nice offer to a customer today is not only because the product. So you need to think outside the box and to make the value out of that. So the add value on a product means the service, and this service is definitely you need to quantify. So at least I don't have that money, but I would like to be different. So I have young people in the team, and I definitely would like to invest more time on listening them, because time to time, the most stupid idea is the one that you can definitely start looking at. So that's why, for me, young generation is very inspiring. At the beginning, you think, oh, my God, brainstorming 1 hour, lost of time. No, it's not going to be, because your brains are definitely going to work. And then you share it with the customers, because I really would like to share with them and to go to the industry. What do you think about this crazy idea? Why not? And then I found some with the team, always with the team, different departments that we have, TSS department, the R&D department, the marketing department. You have to bring them together. And they have to feel that this is definitely something very important for the future. In this world today, the market is growing. There is absolutely new building growing, refits business growing. We had definitely changes on technology. We are also selling through WhatsApp. I am having my best contacts the last 2 months by LinkedIn. So, you open LinkedIn once a week. Now, I said to my team, you have to spend 1 hour at least to spend only LinkedIn. Don't play, don't make plays, don't waste your time. But use LinkedIn. Because I have fantastic, big, and very nice contacts now. And I definitely am worried, because now this is going to be another channel that I didn't even expect it to put it on my time management. So I don't know, this is not yet controlled. But anyway, the point of the sustainability. Definitely in coatings, we are having the responsibility to look for less pollution. It's obvious that we have coatings underwater, it's obviously important to follow the BPR, which is the biocide, regulations. We are very restricted in terms of what kind of biocides we are going to use. This is very important for all of you, because this is showing that the biggest companies, marine companies like Boero, we are really spending a lot of money. I mean, guys, just for the BPR, we spent 3 million euro. So last week, the boss has just signed 1.2 million. So just, we cannot, decide. It's just yes or not. Because if you are not going to go in that direction, you are out of the market. So life cycle assessments, the water revolution, what we are doing, basically, this is something that we have to really be conscious of, because we have to create products that are water-based antifouling, antifouling that are less polluted, depend on the biocide, they are biodegradable. I don't know how to say that in English.
Biodegradable.
Thank you. That I learned from yesterday. This is a guilty guy that is in front of you. But I had to say that because it's obvious that there are components, biocides that you can have in the antifoulings that can be, disappearing. They cannot pollute the oceans, and this is the way to go. Also, on the the cycle of the life cycle, it's very important because during the whole process, from the raw material until the product is destroyed, definitely we have a responsibility. There is plenty of ways to improve.
Yes.
So there are plenty of people here that are, both producers that I have very good relationship, and we already have started talking about that. They are already trying to find solutions that are much more using minerals or using, vegetables. So there is a way to go. So in that respect, very important to ensure that the marine ship environment is definitely important for all of us as well. This is affecting us not only for the exhaust, you are bringing in the coatings again. When you are spraying, you have to take care of the VOC, meaning you have to create and invent and deliver products with high solids, because then it's going to be less polluted. So
yes.
All of this has to be in our normal life, and we are here to, to share it whenever, guys, you want.
I think everyone within our organizations are all trying to do things that protect the environment. It's important. So here we go. I want to go to Michelle because you've been quiet for a bit.
Unusual.
As I said to you, I went to an innovation festival, and I think every single session in that innovation festival had 2 letters in it that were spoken at every single session, and those letters were AI. So I asked each of you, and Michelle, we'll start with you. How do you think AI will be incorporated into work, into the industry? What impact will it have, and what concerns do you have about AI?
Sure. I'm going to go back a little bit and just talk about my personal situation. I'm very fortunate. My husband and I both have a boat, and it's his passion and it's his joy. And when I'm allowed to drive the boat, won't be tired if I get a little scratch on it or bump it. And the reason I tell you about that is because my passion about AI is around assisted and autonomous navigation. I think that's where, from Raymarines' perspective and from my perspective, I think there's a real lot of innovation that we'll see around assisted and autonomous docking. When you're docking your boat, it probably is the most stressful part of anybody's day on the boat, and it can really put people off joining the industry. Most accidents that occur on the water are through lack of the helmsman being aware of what's around them. It's things that are avoidable that we can actually do. And through assisted and autonomous docking, I think we've got a real opportunity to grow our business. We have an ageing generation of boaters that we'd like to keep in the boating industry for longer. There's new younger people who'd love to come into boating but maybe aren't confident enough to drive the boat. We can also grow the industry by getting people who want to get a bigger boat but aren't confident to drive that larger boat. We can actually get them into a bigger boat because we can assist with the docking, we can assist with the navigation, and we can help dock those boats. I'd love all of you have to come to Raymarine Stand. We've actually got a partnership with a company called Avacus, and we are demonstrating a boat that we had in an IBEX a couple of months ago. We actually can show that boat being autonomously docked, nobody at the helm, hands off, and it is really fascinating. So do come along to our stand and have a look at that. Concerns, I think everyone shares the same concerns in the industry, safety and reliability. If something is driving your boat for you, what's the robustness of that? What's a fail-safe system? How is that being tested? It's a brand new area. There's no legislation, there's no regulation. I think we've got a long way to go in terms of legislating that industry. And finally, I think a big concern about AI for everybody is job displacement. When you look at more commercial vessels, people train to become, and it's very difficult to become a mariner in that regard. And if an autonomous boat, an autonomous container ship can drive across the ocean for you, what is going to happen to those people that are currently in those roles? So I think we've really got to think about job displacement as well.
Yes, I agree with you on that, and I'm going to stay with you. I know we're running short on time, so I want to ask this question of you, and then we'll go on. But I thought it was very interesting. It came to our attention that at a summit that we had last month, that there was a study done that men will apply for a job if they have about 70% of the skills, but women feel that they need to have 100% of the skills to apply for the job. Michelle, you have two different roles at Raymarine in business development and product development. You're not an engineer. Yet you lead highly technical teams that are innovating in highly technical ways. And I'm curious how you manage technical teams if you don't have a technical background. And you talked about which technology products you're most excited about going forward, but are there aspects about the products that you're coming out with, whether they're intuitive or what impact you think they'll have on boating, that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, that resonates with me because I nearly didn't take this job because when Gregor asked me if I'd take this job on, I was like, I can't do that. I haven't got a technical background. All these people are engineers. And then I went away and I actually thought about it. And I thought, I'm very ambitious. I've been a leader for a while. What skill sets do I have? And as I mentioned, I am over-organised. I'm a good problem solver. I can make decisions. I can make decisions very quickly and I'll stand by those decisions. And a bit like Gemma said, I do like the strategy, it's not easy to come up with, but I do have a vision, do have a goal. And I could see in this department what needed to happen and I could see where we needed to go. So that was what my leadership skills were bringing to the role. And I thought, actually, if I can motivate this team to deliver on these goals and deliver on these visions, set them and let them go on their way, empower them as a team, give them the autonomy, give them the responsibility and the ownership of developing that product and coming up with the ideas, that would enable that team to grow and develop. I'm not the cleverest person in the room, I know that, but I do have a great team around me. I've got really diverse backgrounds, different skills, and one of the things I've learned to do really easily is delegate to people. So I know this person's going to be really good at that, I'm going to delegate them to do that, and I really trust and rely on my team that they're going to come back to me with the right answers. If they've got a problem, they'll let me know, and that's how I manage the team. The other thing about what I do is, I think both of you guys mentioned this, it's about the customer at the end of the day. You can have the best bit of innovation, the best bit of technology, but that's nothing if it's no use to the customer. You can invent the most amazing thing, but it's no use to the customer if it's not solving a problem. If it doesn't have if the customer doesn't need it, they don't want it, it's not going to buy it. And I think that's what I bring to the team as well. They come with a lot of great ideas, but it's making those down to what customer problem is this solving.
Yes, absolutely. You start with what's the problem and how do you solve it, right?
Yeah.
And so I have 2 questions left. We are nearly done so that you can have time to network. But I wanted to ask, and Rachel, I'm going to start with you because you said something about it. I wanted to ask if you could speak to your younger self, what would you say? And you said to me, take the advice of your leaders more quickly and don't wait for them to say it again. So tell the audience what you meant by that.
Yeah. Probably everyone on this panel is very, very independent. You know, you have to be to get where we are. And being independent sometimes means that you don't necessarily want somebody else's input. You know, and especially when it's constructive, negative feedback. But it's important to listen and not have to be asked again. If you have a senior leader taking the time to give you input, you need to listen and act on it. Actually, it's not even just a senior leader. If you have a team member that's willing to take the time and give you input upwards, you need to think about it and act on it and not just wait for them to decide if they really meant that. And that's been something that, over the last 5 years, I've been really, really focused on is acting more quickly on that feedback.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And Lori, you talked about impacting people along the way.
Right. I think that if I would speak to my younger self, I would make sure that I took the time to impact not just women, but anybody along the way in my career. And I think being visible, don't sit in the back of the room, raise your hand, volunteer to take on projects, because that's how you learn. And I would tell myself to do that earlier on in my career instead of sitting back there being a little bit nervous to not put my hand up because I didn't think I was qualified enough or to do the new project. But I would definitely do that, and networking. Definitely network with people and join organizations outside of the company that you work for, so that you can meet great people like on this panel and industry boards. Those are all really important, I think, crucial things to do to grow in the industry that you're in.
Yeah, completely agree. Gemma, you said always know your worth.
Yeah, you have, as I said before, and I think it's important, you have to be yourself. You have to be authentic. You have to be, you would be whatever you would like to be.
Yes.
So if you really, it's your decision. So I fully agree with her. It's no sense to waste time with people that they don't want to be developed. Choose them, because I am not going to waste my time. I am going to invest my time in people that really are hungry, that really are excited, that really would like to go 1 mile further, people that really would like, to be a leader. I am a winner. I cannot understand why we cannot be more winners. Of course, you are a winner inside yourself. It's up to you how to say to your brains. If you are always saying, I would like to win, I really would like to develop that, I don't have a problem if I have 20,000 challenges, because always is like that. Gaps, challenges, my best words in the strategy the document. But there is keys of success. So use it, share it, and try. There is plenty of young women here that please just continue be yourself. Don't listen too much, okay? Yeah. Because you can definitely find your way. You will. If you want, you will.
Yes. And I'm going to add to this because it took me a really long time to learn this. I think that you're so ambitious in your career, especially when you're younger. And I was a real workaholic. I'm still to a degree a workaholic. But I think what you have to realize is if you left tomorrow, if something happened or you walked out the door tomorrow, that company's still going to go on. They're going to find a way to get the work done. So you have to take the time to be with your friends, to be with your family, to rejuvenate yourself.
Have fun.
And have fun. I was awful at that. So I really hope that people think about it and say, you know what, if I wasn't here, they're going to go on, so I'm going to go take that walk.
I recommend getting out on a boat.
Absolutely. So we're on to our last question, and I'm just going to go right down the line and ask, what final words of wisdom would you like to give to our audience?
Well, basically, I just don't want to repeat myself. I mean, I am very good believer of myself and people that are different. And the only way that you would like to be to succeed is just to try to be really, self-confidence. Try to make mistakes. Allow yourself to make mistakes. Don't be afraid. I have people around that they are hiding the mistakes. No, if you don't do mistakes, you will not develop. So you will stick in the place where you are today. And please surround yourself with very nice, humble, professional, and very nice people. There are plenty of great people around you that they are going to steal your time and your time and your time. Basically, is the goal. Today is to have the time. So my suggestion, again, depends on yourself, but you can be always as you want. It depends on you.
And Nikki?
I'm going to say get out on a boat every now and then, because as an industry person, we often don't go out on boats enough. I neglected to mention another part of my business, which is our Freedom Boat Club. We're the first franchisee in Australia of Freedom Boat Club. And as part of that, I've been taking people out on boats for a run. And when you do that, when you get out on a boat, it doesn't have to be huge. You can go out with a friend's boat. It doesn't have to be your boat. But when we do that, and when we feel that blue mind, and when we feel that sensation of the enjoyment of being out on a boat again, we actually say, "Oh, that's why I do this. That's why I've got marinas, because I want to bring people to enjoy this. That's why I do this." So please, however you do it, get out on a boat every now and then.
Get out on the water, yes.
Yeah.
Michelle?
I'm going to talk about stepping outside of your comfort zone. I think it's really important, both in your professional and your personal career, is to step outside. None of us here, I think, are in our comfort zone today. We've all taken a big step to come here, taking that job, take that risk. You will make mistakes, you will get setbacks in life. No one's life goes to plan. And it's really that experience you get from that and that resilience that you need to build up to really progress in your life.
Absolutely. And Lori?
I would say be fearless and confident. Again, going back to take those challenges when they're offered to you. Have fun in the industry and have a good work-life balance. That was something I was really terrible at. Several years ago, I had a coach who said, "Lori, you don't do anything. You need a hobby." So I took up cycling. I go out. I do hiking. I do paddleboarding now. So make sure you have a good work-life balance, because you can't just work all the time.
Absolutely. And Rachel?
It's a hard act to follow. I think the only other thing I would say is it's great to have mentors and people that you look up to, and take what's helpful for you and remain yourself. Be yourself. Don't try to be someone else.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to chime in on this one. I believe that you can always do more than you think you can. And
yeah.
I'm a big fan of getting out of comfort zone in pretty big ways. I would encourage you to think about your purpose. What are you doing to give to others? It takes a village. And Malin, you had a quote that you said last month that really resonated with me. And this is what Malin said. She said, "Make sure you have close contact with people who would mention your name in a room of opportunities." So I'll say that again. Make sure you have close contact with people who would mention your name in a room of opportunities. And finally, the last thing I would say to all of you is don't forget to take the time to celebrate your wins.
Yep.
A lot of times we go right on to the next, especially during show season, but take time to do that. And the last thing I'll leave you with is from one of my heroes, is a woman named Franca Sozzani. She was the editor-in-chief of Italian Vogue for over 25 years before she passed away in 2016. And she said, "I thought I would have lived a quiet life, but I wanted to leave something behind. When I'm not around, people will still know of me. I think it's beautiful to leave a trace behind, even though one's best legacy is one's children. Meanwhile, if you leave something independently of your family, you become part of history." So this is your invitation. Become part of history.